War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to Bleav in Everything Auburn, which is brought to you, as always, by Bet Online. Basketball fans, it is that time of year again. The NBA is back from opening tip-off to buzzer beaters. Bet Online has you covered with the latest odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. This season, every game matters, and Bet Online has every stat, matchup breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. And it's not just the NBA, as you all know. BetOnline has odds on everything: football, MLB playoffs, NHL, even political props. So head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. What it do, everyone? Jason Campbell and Taylor Davis back with you. And for the first time in what feels like ages, we've got a dub to talk about, people. The Tigers finally got it done. Been a minute. But the Tigers went into Lexington and came back out with a win and return home, which also feels like it's been forever, to face Vanderbilt this upcoming weekend. It'll be a special one down on the Plains. Jay and some of his teammates will be recognized as well. So, a lot to talk about. Welcome into the pod. Hope you've had a great week. And week 9 of college football officially in the rearview mirror. It is flying by, Jason Campbell, crazy as it may be. How was Lexington, my guy?
Man, I tell you what, of course, you get to Lexington Airport, you walk in and everything you see is bourbon and
or
then
horses
everywhere. So, you see that everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I got a chance to talk to it was a ton of Auburn people there. And a lot
Nice.
came up on Thursday because they all went out to the where they race all the horses at in Lexington, and they had to dress up in a suit and do that. So a lot of them enjoyed that, and I got a chance to ask them about it because I said I wish I could have attended, but
Yeah.
tell you what, outside of that, Friday night, your boy had a blast. Though I went and got something.
Did you hit the town?
Went downtown, and ran into a whole bunch of old former players.
No way.
Yeah, they all decided to make the trip up to Lexington. They always pick a game a year
Uh-huh.
to go to on the road, and that happened to be the game. And they was there at the horse races and all of that. So we got a chance to sit around and talk, former quarterback Brandon Cox and
No way.
him, Will Hare, and a couple other guys. We just all sitting around shooting the breeze and talking about, back in the day we had games and stuff. But they were just like, how come quarterbacks always can remember every play?
100%.
For everything that happened back then. And Will's like, man, I'm a little nervous right now. I don't remember the same things you guys are remembering. Not saying, Will, it's okay. I was just like, he's like, no, I'm really nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, bro, you good. I said, it's just a different thing when it comes to quarterbacks.
It's so true.
Tone and just, grind and remember a lot of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome. So we sat around and chilled about 10:30, 11 o'clock. That's
Where'd y'all go eat?
My curfew. I can't stay out all night. I gotta sleep.
I feel you, fam.
Friday night, I wasn't a big fan of where we went.
Okay.
We was all expecting a little better, but it didn't turn out. But that Saturday morning, though, they gave J Cam the opportunity to pick where we need to go for brunch. I did my homework, and we ended up going to Carson's restaurant downtown.
Okay.
And I tell you, their brunch is off the charts.
All right.
I'm talking about butter fried biscuits that taste like donuts with maple syrup, cinnamon sugar.
Ooh, buddy.
Oh, I'm talking about just on point. And then I got the shrimp and grits, the Cajun style shrimp and grits.
Yum.
The rest of them got the maple chicken and waffle.
Ooh.
And chicken and waffle with gravy on top.
Okay.
And there are just so much. I can go down through the whole list. Just look at Carson's restaurant up in Lexington.
Okay.
And look at their brunch. Look at their, I wanted to go to Jeff Ruby's on Friday, but that didn't happen. But that's okay though.
You can go to Jeff Ruby's in other towns though.
Yeah. But go to Carson. So that was a treat. Everybody enjoyed it. So it's always fun when you pick a place
and it hits.
Right, it hits.
Totally.
Yeah, so.
I would always trust you with food research, so they should have left everything in your hands when it comes to the restaurant choices.
They don't give me the food choices because the budget just gets hit too hard.
Ooh, that's a good point. You got to be willing to spend a pretty penny, but you're gonna eat well. I always enjoy. Do what?
You got 4 road games.
Exactly. And this one, Lexington, Auburn hasn't been to in a while, so might as well enjoy it. I'm with you. Well, I'm glad that you got to. I always eat well when I go to Lexington for work. We usually go to Ramsey's for lunch after meetings, and it's like a home cooking, like meat and sides. They're known for their pie. They have like literally every kind of pie you can imagine. And then we've gone to Tony's for dinner quite a few times, and I've always enjoyed that too. So Lexington definitely has a ton of good spots, and I'm glad you definitely succeeded with brunch. But the Tigers succeeded on the field. And how about that? Because it has been tough sledding as of late, but Auburn finally was able to get the first SEC win of the season, defeating Kentucky 24-10, and certainly came out limping a little bit. The first quarter had us all worried that we knew how it was going to go, but they put the pedal to the metal. Jarquez put his foot in a neck and said, "Not today, Wildcats." And away he went. A career high day for him, 278 rushing yards for Jarquez. The thing that a lot of people have been calling for all season, just give this kid the rock. He finally had that game. The fourth most rushing yards in a single game in program history. Quick trivia. Do you know who has the most?
So you probably got Bo Jackson was in there. You probably have Trey Mason is in there. And you probably got one more that I'm missing. I'm going to say Trey Mason got the most.
Very close. Trey Mason has the second most in the SEC championship game against Missouri. He had 304 yards in that game.
Yeah.
Bo had the third most. He had 290 yards in the first game of his senior season, where he went on to win the Heisman. The most in Auburn history is a man by the name of Curtis Kuykendall. From 1944 in a game against Miami, he put up 307 yards. So,
well, see, I would have never known that one because
neither.
decades before I was born.
Yeah, 40s, like, bro, I don't even know how that counts. But man, that made me like really be like, golly, Trey Mason was 3 yards away from the record in an SEC championship game. Like, I don't know if they had any idea, probably not. But nonetheless, Jarquez is now top 4 all time. An incredible day on the ground for him. Rough first half for Peyton Thorne. He was 5 of 10 for 41 yards and an interception in the first quarter. The broadcast pointing out that was his 41st interception in 44 career games. Not the most kind stat, but the reality. And I think it could have been very easy for the team to go, wow, here we go again. This is who we are. This is what we freaking do. But instead, they course corrected. They really went full throttle. The play calling seemed a lot more aggressive, more intentional, had better flow, and the run game took off, and the results speak for themselves. So let's start offensively. The defense also had a heck of a day, but let's separate this one. Talk to me about what you saw from the offense, maybe steps forward that they could build off of that performance.
Yeah, what a great showing. First quarter, like you said, it just seems like every game, we defer to get the ball second, and we put our defense out there, which I get it. I understand. It's
Most people do.
Team, right? So, but every time that team scores and they kick off to us, we always get a holding call. Every time. So we end up starting inside our 10-yard line rather than starting on 25. So I'm just like, from here on out, if another team scores first and they kick the ball off to us, just fair catch it. Just fair catch it, because the likelihood you're probably gonna get tackled before the 25 or on the 25.
Right.
Not going to get much further unless sometimes you have a home run as you break, but that rarely happens. So I'm just like, for just at least the first series, can we just start on 25? Just fair catch. Do me a favor, fair catch. So that's one thing I like to see. The next thing is this offensive line settled in the second quarter.
Yeah.
I feel like the first quarter we wasn't able to get into a rhythm. We had a couple 3-and-outs. A lot of that was because of field position. We're starting deep down in our hole, and it limits your play calling opportunities because you're backed up. So now, you get out into the open field. Now you're able to start hitting, busting a couple plays. And I think For Peyton, they ran a controlled passing game, which was really good as far as like they was hitting some intermediate throws and hitches,
Mm-hmm.
outs, a couple stop routes in zone coverage. It took a couple shots down the field and everything. So I like that aspect of having a little bit of control on him, which not allow him to make so many mistakes.
Fair.
I like that approach. And then from the standpoint of you put the ball in your best player's hand on offense, which is Jarquez Hunter.
Yep.
And people have been asking for this for a while. And he had 27 carries, 278 yards. And a lot of those yards was yards after contact. It wasn't like, the offensive line did an exceptional job of opening up holes. But when he is getting to the second level, he was still carrying guys 8-10 yards, like just trying to pull him down. Like he was on a mission and everything. And plus the receivers blocked really well downfield as well. I saw a couple of blocks where they was very smart about what they did, where they was on the guy, but then they felt Jarquez get close to him, they just let their guy go. So they didn't a holding call or anything. So that was really, really smart on the receiver standpoint, being involved in the blocking game. Percy Lewis didn't start. Braden Jordan got the start at guard. Dylan Wade moved back out to left tackle. I felt like from an offensive line standpoint, they did a really, really good job. Run game. Like we still can get better in a little bit of pass protection, but from a run game perspective, I was very impressed. And I think what helps an offensive line is you get to go be the attacker and not be the absorbent of attack. So I think especially with this group. And so I think this is something they can build off of. The team showed a lot of resilience. You go down 10-0, you easily can, tuck your head and be like, oh man, here we go again.
Exactly.
But this team fought, right?
Yeah.
And they fought back, made it a 10-10 game. And my biggest debacle of the night would probably be right before halftime.
What the heck was that?
Yeah, we got to be better with situational football.
Yeah.
And, that can cost you in a big game. I think it cost us in the Oklahoma game. I think we tried to rush the field goal team out there really quick with a young field goal kicker. And of course, he missed the first one. And then the next one got a chance to reset and he still missed it. But the fact that, okay, we're in a similar situation. And as a quarterback, a veteran quarterback, you have to understand I can't take a sack. And you have to know that time clock in your head is very quick. It's either I'm looking to the end zone. If I don't like what I have, or a first down marker, get a first down, the clock will stop, give you enough time to clock it. If I don't like what I have immediately that's called, once it's out there, then okay, I got to sail that ball over his head, out of bounds.
Get rid of it.
But I cannot take a sack in that situation.
Yep.
Then if you're on the sideline, Taylor, a fire drill is coming because that, okay, there's no timeouts. If on the way we may have a chance to get out there, even if we get the first down, you got to go quickly. So, or you can clock it and get set. I guess it gives you a little more time. But this is a fire drill moment. We practice this all the time. Okay, I got my 11 guys right here waiting. So as immediately, if he takes a sack or anything, if the ball is caught and tackled short of the first down, you can't clock it. It's fourth down. So you got to. How do we know 14 people on the field? It's like, come on, man. Like
that kind of stuff's embarrassing.
Yeah, you got you got time. This for 4 plays, that you're probably gonna be in a fire drill situation. So I'm just saying, like, communication, understanding where you're at, having your head in the ball game has to be the key moving forward. Now, what I was impressed, we come out of halftime and they didn't flinch.
Yeah.
Coach they ran 8 straight run plays in a row. So they went in the locker room and somebody said, look, coach, we're going to win this game by being physical.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did. They came out of halftime and they just kept going.
Yeah, I was super impressed by the second half response ending the way that the half ended. It also would have been so easy for them to just let things go off because there was zero momentum. You're on the road. I mean, like everything stacked against you at that point, but they adjusted and they came back swinging, and obviously on the back of Jarquez, but Damari Alston, obviously he's going to get overshadowed a little bit because Jarquez had a career day, but yards after contact for him too. He's got guys draped on him and he is churning his legs. I was super impressed by him, even, in the shadow of a 278-yard kind of day. But that is something that, you hate to think about, but in all likelihood, Jarquez is done. So kind of sidebar here, but what's kind of the current status of that running back room when Jarquez is done at the end of the year?
Yeah, right. That's a great question because now you got Damari, you got Jeremiah Cobb, you got Alvin Henderson coming in. He's breaking the record supposedly, here soon.
Okay.
So you have him coming in. So at this point in time, right, do you go get a transfer guy? Because you don't know if either Jeremiah or Damari, one of them may leave.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I'm just like, the guy that's in front of you is going to the NFL. So
Right.
now it creates an opportunity for
You
you
to
guys
be the guy.
to be the guy. So I was like, I'm not sure I would be leaving now, especially Damari has 1 year left. Jeremiah has 2 years left. So it's just a matter of, are these guys going to not listen to the chatter that's going to get in their ears, whether it's from home or whether it's, from
Other schools.
other schools, wherever, about, why you not getting as many touches, or, hey, we're going to take care of you, come over here.
Yeah.
All the stuff that you can't control. Will they have enough to think for themselves of what would I be leaving? Because now I had to go learn a new system. And now I would actually have to go learn a new system. They're probably bringing somebody else in too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So,
For sure.
all the things you don't know, people don't tell you about the stories of transfers to go to other schools, and they was said you're gonna do this, and all of a sudden they're not even playing. They don't even touch the field.
Right.
You have to be very careful, if you're in their position on how you think about this through a process.
100%. And honestly, the lineage of running backs that have been successful at Auburn, I mean, Tank Bigsby's crushing it right now. And no, he wasn't part of championship winning teams at Auburn. He was a part of some losing seasons, but he was well prepared. Auburn backs in the NFL have gone on to do a lot of good things. And Jarquez waited his turn to kind of be the guy behind a guy like Tank. And no one questioned Jarquez Hunter's ability. He's now leading the SEC after that game. So I think Damari and Jeremiah are set up very well to both be successful, both continue to build names for themselves. And then, yes, let's continue to build the tree the way we have, get these huge, highly touted, high school kids that are going to go on and do big things. It's the proof's been in the pudding when you look at Auburn running backs. So just something that I crossed my brain when I was watching that one. But I want to get into the defense a little bit. Some guys that might be utilizing another one of our sponsors, Cheribundi, natural products and ingredients and no added sugar. In case you didn't know it, tart cherries are the highest antioxidant fruit or vegetable in the world. They have natural anti-inflammatory qualities with incredible benefits. They reduce soreness, they increase your recovery, they contain naturally occurring melatonin to help improve your sleep, and they support immunity. Like I said, almost every team in Power 4 football are utilizing these, 66 of the 67 to be exact, and every single NFL team, including 10 of the last 11 Super Bowl champions, every team playing in Europe or Brazil this season, Cheribundi is taking over the world of football. Their products are available on Amazon, Cheribundi.com, and at retailers nationwide, including Publix and Kroger. That is Cheribundi.
Yeah, what I like about it is 8 flow ounces with 100 calories and 0 added sugars.
So you've got the water or juice.
I got the juice and I got the package.
Okay, I got the packets of little goo packets that you just toss back. Super easy. So they've got a variation of products for you to utilize. Really cool. Thank you, Cheribundi, for sponsoring our show. Let's talk about defense a little bit. They had to face a 2-quarterback strategy this past weekend, and it was one that they really wanted to be methodical with, them being Mark Stoops and the Kentucky coaching staff. It ended up leaning more toward Gavin Wimsatt toward the latter half, but it started out with both Brock Vandagriff and Gavin Wimsatt, Gavin being more quarterback design runs, Brock being more in there for passes. So the defense had to adjust to that. We held them scoreless after the first quarter. They were all over both quarterbacks and really controlled things very effectively. Keldrick Falk, yet again, Eugene Asante. The guys in coverage have gotten so much better too as season goes on. I know it's so hard to have a losing season like this, and we don't like moral victories. We say that every week, but you really can look across this thing and see big strides taken. And to start this season talking about how young this secondary was and is, but to see guys coming up with picks and guys being in really tight coverage and not getting PI calls. Yes, there were a couple, but that's to be expected. But I thought coverage wise and attacking a 2-quarterback system, the defense did everything you can ask for.
Yeah, defensively, like I say, the first drive they bend but didn't break.
Yeah.
They gave up 3 points, and like I said, they ended up getting great field position because of the penalty that we got the holding call on the kick return. Set them up really to have a
Yeah,
shot.
you're welcome.
Yeah, and Vanderbilt, at that time had led them to a 10-0 ball game.
Yeah.
And after that, it's not in our first drive, I could tell defensively that if we just rush under control, we can put this team away because we got home the first couple of plays of the game, but we didn't sack him because we was rushing out of control. And he
Right.
just duck under us or he just run around us. And I'm just like, dude, rush to contain and get the guy on the ground. Don't go in there, just like someone shot out a gun and all of a sudden you throw yourself.
A little eager.
Right. So once the game continued, our secondary, Jay Crawford got an interception.
I was so excited to see that.
He got an interception, and both of these guys are freshmen and sophomore. So that makes you feel good if you're an Auburn fan, right?
For sure.
And we talk about, Keldrick Faulk, sophomore, another guy that has to come back for another year.
Yeah.
So, it just shows you the young guys on this team. Keyron Crawford, it's another guy that can be back for another year.
Yeah.
We'll
get Champ Anthony back from injury.
Get Champ Anthony back. Sylvester Smith is a freshman starting in the secondary. Faustin is a guy that comes in often at corner to sub either one of those guys. That's a freshman that plays really well.
Yeah.
So the future is bright.
Agreed.
About the players that are getting a lot of playing time, and they're not just out there playing; they're making plays.
Yeah.
And they're having an exceptional opportunity right now to show that they belong. But it goes also show you the talent gap that Auburn didn't have, but the coaching staff is starting to feel with a lot of guys that they're bringing in. So, it's just it's good to see these young guys making plays and doing things very, very well. But defensively, to me, you give up 10 points in the first quarter and you shut them down for the rest of the game. Even that fourth down stand with like 5 minutes to go in the ball game, you're like, all right, if Kentucky scores, can we hold on to the ball and not turn it over?
Right.
And give a chance to go score and tie it. You just think about all these things that happened to us, right? And you just like, okay, this game's not over. And then all of a sudden it gets the fourth down and K and Lee gets the interception. Now you can breathe a little bit better because the game's pretty much over at that point. So I thought defensively these guys got after the quarterback. I didn't understand the move to Kimmswit away from Vandergrift. I didn't.
Come again? No. Say that again.
Kimmswit. I don't have my paper in front of me. I can't find it.
You called the game.
As a Gavin. I know his first name Gavin.
First name Gavin.
Yeah, there we
Last
go.
name Wimsat with a W. Where'd the K come from?
See, I'm going off top of my head. Off top of my head. So Wimsat. There we go.
Kimsat.
See, that's why I have you over here as an analyst that know
One day when I have the time in the off season, I'm going to make a video compilation of all just back to back you saying names wrong and just like make a clip. It's my favorite thing ever.
So Wimsat.
There you go.
There we go. So I didn't understand the move.
Yeah, me either.
That in, I'm just like, are y'all trying to lose or?
I wonder if Vandergrift was fully healthy. I have no idea. I mean, even on the broadcast, the guys were like, I'm not sure why we haven't seen Vandergrift.
Yeah, I listened to the radio of Kentucky after the game.
Okay.
Because I had to go back, stay at the hotel, and fly back the next day. So I was like, okay, let me listen and see what they're saying on their side. It really hurt me, the fact that they said Kentucky is now at the bottom with Auburn and Vanderbilt in the SEC. I said, whoa. Don't put us on that list. I said, yes, we had a couple rough years here of late. I said, but we're climbing out of this thing, So I guess I just have to, eat the salt for a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, Jason, we haven't done anything to change that narrative yet.
That's a fact.
So
I just always take it personal because
of course you do.
What we built back in the day.
I know. And boy, have you earned that freaking right, my guy. Like
personal. When people say Auburn at the bottom. What do you mean? Hello, bottom here. But anyways, moving forward.
The last few years, we are in fact. But honestly, that statement is not true for Vanderbilt, which is the perfect transition for us to talk about what is about to transpire in Jordan Hare. But I also wanted to make a quick mention real quick because you were talking about the young guys and the talent that's going to be coming back. One of which is 5-star quarterback Deuce Knight. 9 total touchdowns in his game against George County this past weekend. The kid absolutely went off. I saw several of our recruiting reporters covering that game, and 9 total touchdowns is pretty insane. So hats off to him on a big night, as I assume high school ball's probably kind of starting to pan out with playoff expectations and getting into postseason. So best of luck to
week, I think.
That's crazy. I don't know where the frick this season went. My mind is absolutely blown. But the Tigers finally returned home, and they will be hosting a team that no one should look past anymore. The best season for Vanderbilt since 2013, on the backs of a quarterback that came into Jordan Hare and got a dub last year, Diego Pavia. I covered Vanderbilt week 1 this season, and I could tell this was not the Vandy of old. This is a different, it's almost, Hugh Freeze said it in his press conference this week. It's almost like you're playing Navy with how much they control the ball. The offense, it's not like a triple option type thing, but they don't give you many possessions. They control the clock and they hold the ball majority of it, and they let Diego Pavia be a magician. And there is only so much you can prepare for when a guy is that off script in his runs. So this will not be an easy test. Absolutely not. And that's not a shot at Auburn. It's more to do with what Vanderbilt has done and how they've tested teams. As we know, upset Alabama, but this past weekend they had Texas on the ropes. 27-24 they lost that game. They were down by 10, and Pavia drives downfield and gets within winning. I mean, like, this kid never freaking quits, and the whole team has bought in to the new philosophy, the new era that Clark Lee implemented this year. My hat is truly off to them, because I say every year, like, Vanderbilt is up against things that no one else in the SEC is having to deal with from an academic standpoint. They are light years behind in funding, in NIL, in facilities. The facilities are catching up. They're still under construction right now, but what they're doing this year is commendable in a place like that. So, talk to me about what the keys are going to be. I think when you look at Pavia's numbers, 64.5% completion percentage for 1,534 yards and 13 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions, but he leads them in rushing. Containing this kid is the name of the game.
Pavia Mania is coming to Jordan Hare.
And it's real.
And we better be ready.
Yeah.
I saw the line today. I believe it was 10.5 for Auburn.
Yeah.
I was like, why would y'all do that?
Yep.
And, that's just motivation for this team, because this kid came in here last year with a lesser team than what he has in Vanderbilt around him. And they beat us. I can't remember what the score was. I think it was 2 scores.
It was like 31-10 or something.
Yeah, so it was like a
I covered that game.
A victory that they came in here and took.
Yep.
So it just makes me a little nervous with this team coming in here, because, Taylor, this game has bowl implications on it. You look at Vanderbilt, they're looking at like, this may be our last real opportunity to get a victory, to get the 6 wins, right? They still got a couple of big schools on their schedule that they're not favorable over. And then look at Auburn, is kind of like, okay, we need this victory to get the 4 and 5. And then you got Louisiana Monroe coming in 2 weeks to try to get the 5 and 5 before we play the 2 at the end, which is A&M and Alabama. And if you can win both of those, great. If you split them 1-1, you get a bowl.
Yeah.
It would make the atmosphere at A&M crazy, because that would become a must-win game. So I just feel like this game it's going to show how much Auburn has improved after the Kentucky win.
Okay.
Now, can you take the maturity step of, okay, we went to Kentucky, we finally beat a Power 5 team in a while, a Power 4 now, Power 4 team in a while, and can you carry that same mentality? Can you go back to practice this week and work even harder to know, okay, now how do you deal with success? You hadn't had success in a while. Now how do you deal with success? Can you back it up with another win? Can you learn how to win a couple games in a row? And this is the next step, because this is a really good football team that's coming in here.
It is.
It wasn't for the 4th down call that I still question a little bit. The 3rd down call where Vanderbilt got the 1st down, and they said something about the quarterback's shoulders wasn't turned towards the line of scrimmage or whatever. I don't know if it was a receiver or the quarterback or whatever, but they was in place. But they called that back. At that point in time in the ball game, it was 7-7 Vanderbilt and Texas. If Vanderbilt goes on to score on that drive, it makes it harder for Texas, just like it did for Alabama to win that. Because as long as Vanderbilt got ahead of you and they gain possessions and they're able to receive the ball, it makes it hard on you because it's an offense, Taylor, which is what Auburn will have to do this week, is be very precise, be
Yeah.
very good on third downs. Because if you don't, you may not touch the ball for 6 or 7, 8 minutes.
Yes.
So
That's
this
what they will try to do.
right, this type of game, and it's an early game. So can we get up at home to play an early game? Sometimes early games favor road teams,
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
reasons. But at home, teams struggle with early games. So our guys got to come ready to play. They got to get off the bus ready to play
Yep.
come Saturday, and they should. We hadn't been home in a month.
It's exactly what I was going to say.
So I hope they're ready to play.
Me too. And the fans should certainly be behind them because of that. Obviously, not having a game in almost a month is not the most usual. So even though it is an 11:45 a.m. Central Time kick, hopefully the environment will be what the Tigers need. Now, one more thing to get into, but first I got to tell you about our last sponsor, and that is Melin. Obviously, our friends over at Melin hook us up with some pretty cool hats, and you should get some yourself. The first thing you'll notice is their durability. They are built to last 5 times longer than any other hat with their natural antimicrobial properties so that sweat doesn't break down the hat. There's no sweat stains. There's no smell. You can use them outside on the golf course. You can take them to tailgate. They're built for the water if you're out on the lake. They don't lose the shape if you take them in, and they also float if you happen to drop them. It's also a super comfortable fit. The Fit Finder on their site is my favorite thing because not all shaped heads and faces work in the same shape hat. So you can use their Fit Finder to figure out what shape option match your style, your face shape, things like that. They have snapbacks and they all offer small, classic, or extra large to fit every size head. Keep in mind, Christmas is coming up. So if you need a gift idea, Melin is a great place to go. They are not your average hats. Whether you're tailgating, working out on the golf course, or headed out for a date night, you need to try Melin, built to last 5 times longer than any other hat. So if you're looking for a hat that's as tough as you are, check out Melin. You won't wear anything else after you get one for yourself or for the people in your life. So if you're looking for that durable hat, look no further. Go to melin.com. That is MELIN.com, and put it to the test. But yes, I'm very excited to see this one because it does kind of feel like if you can, okay, let's just call a spade a spade. Us getting to a bowl game requires a win over Vandy. You're not getting the last 3 if you drop this one. There is just not. Jason's going to see, well, there is a chance. I mean, like, yes, technically, could it happen? Yes.
That's why you play the game.
But you talk about momentum swing. You talk about confidence development. You go on the road. You go into Lexington, get your first SEC win. You return home for the first time in a month and beat a Vandy team that's been the hot team this season, the exciting team. You get revenge on Pavia. You get ULM at home that you also should put on a good showing with. And then you've got A&M and Bama, and both very, very, very tough. If you lose Vanderbilt, the momentum that you created right now and the momentum that would be required for your final 2 tests gets halted right here. So I think bowl eligibility a lot rides in the Vandy game more than the rest.
Texas A&M, great football team, right? Built to win a championship defensively. Offensively is where I feel like they are going to struggle in order to win a national championship.
Okay.
Because the simple fact, they had to pull their quarterback the other night and to put another kid in to win that game. So
and the kid balled out.
Kid balled out. So the kid threw 2 passes though.
Yes,
right?
he's a runner.
So he's more of a runner. So now that people have film on him, we'll get a chance to see down the stretch if he's a really good passer because he's going to be forced to have to throw the ball. Now, that being said, A&M sits atop of the SEC right now. Georgia's number 2, Texas number 3, Tennessee's number 4, LSU's number 5, Bama 6, Arkansas 7, Ole Miss 8. Okay, that's your top 8 right now of today. 6. As it is today, it will be A&M and Georgia in the SEC championship game. And all the years that Jimbo Fisher was there, they was never considered to make it to the SEC championship game this late in the season.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you, man, that Echo was on that staff with Jimbo as a defensive coordinator.
Mhm.
Left, took a job somewhere else as a head coach, and now he comes back,
Mhm.
and now he's running that program because he understands it and he knows what he has.
Yep.
And I like your analogy. I do think this is a pivotal game for Auburn. Everyone knows that, yeah, it'd be hard to beat A&M and Bama at the end of the year. Can we do it? Yeah, you can if you get on the winning streak. Why? Because you get confidence and momentum flowing into those games. And you get
Right.
an A&M team that comes in here. If you able to reel off the next two, you're 5-5. A&M coming in here, you get a chance to be the spoiler, but you can shut down a run game in Jordan Hare because you have that crowd noise.
Mhm.
Especially, I hope that's a night game, because this thing would be rocking. And everything. So, but then I think we could go into Tuscaloosa if you win those games with momentum. Like Bama doesn't really scare me as much as they have in the past, as far as like what they're doing.
No.
Missouri, it could have been 6-0. Missouri quarterback Brady Cook goes out the game.
Yeah.
And at the point when you go to the game, Missouri driving again, the backup quarterback throws the interception, and then the rest just became downhill because it's almost like the teammate just said, "All right, we're done." So
Yeah. But
there.
we faced their backup quarterback and we lost, so.
So, well, no, Brady Cook came back in the game.
He came back in for the end of it. I'm saying we should have had a lead more substantial.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I give you that. I give you that. So you made great points. You put A&M up at Georgia. How does Connor look?
We're going to probably find out in the SEC championship.
Yep. And see.
Now, and that's what's insane. Their rivalry game with Texas is going to have SEC championship implications, probably.
Yeah.
And that game hasn't been played in so many years. It's at Kyle Field.
Yes.
That game's going to be insane. The entry ticket right now is $630.
Wow. When is that game?
Rivalry week.
Oh, okay. Last week to see it. Yeah,
So,
that game might determine which one of them go to the SEC.
Georgia. Crazy.
Well, I guess I don't play Georgia just yet. They still got to play Tennessee. So
yeah,
happening in that game.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Lane Kiffin get upset that
that they're not that guy.
Conference night games at LSU. I think it's the third now.
I mean, true. And TV loves to be in Baton Rouge at night because the environment's sick. And I do think that kind of sucks that like Ole Miss fans haven't gotten to host an SEC opponent. I get that, but like your head coach whining about it and like that doesn't really do much.
Auburn needs more SEC night games. Have we had an SEC night game this year? No.
I don't think so. I don't know what.
Last week, Lexington, but that wasn't at home.
Yeah, but not at home. Exactly. So, I mean, that's the case for a lot of them. I mean, look, you want to complain about scheduling. Look at what Oklahoma drew in their first year versus Texas. So, I mean, there's a lot that we could complain about. But anywho, speaking of complaints, one thing we didn't even say, Hugh Freeze was almost not at this game this past weekend. News came out on Friday that coach did not travel with the team, that he was dealing with illness. He did not get to town until Saturday morning. He flew with athletic director John Cohen to Lexington the morning of the game to call it. Everyone was calling it flu game Freeze. Did y'all have any indication that he was not there? Was there any concern that he wasn't going to make it at all?
When I got to the hotel, I found out that he wasn't on the team plane and that he was coming up. He's going to try to make it tomorrow if he was feeling better. So I said, hey, I figured he just want to fly private.
Who could blame him?
Right, this fly private. Hey,
who would have taken over head coaching duties had he not been there?
I guess you have to go to the probably one of your offense or defense coordinator, right? So it probably had to been Durkin. Durkin is the one probably with the most experience as being a head coach before.
Wow.
So Durkin probably would have had to take over the Rams as, being a head coach in that position. Or it could have been Durkin. But I just said Durkin because he's been one before. But at the same time, that could have been that's the thing, right? You have to prepare for everything.
Totally.
And Freeze is heavily involved in play design and everything. And, like I said, him and Coach Nitz and Coach Austin and all those guys communicate, on plays during the games.
Right.
So, of course, that would have been a big thing for this team going on the road. So I think they came out and said he had food poisoning.
Yeah, it was like flu-like symptoms. He was super dehydrated, and I assume that means he was throwing up for a while. They didn't straight up say that on the broadcast, but
I've been food poisoned before, and it is.
Yeah, I think him and Miss Jill were down bad, so it must have been something that they ate.
Yeah, they need to tell me where they ate at. So I
Let's avoid that one in Auburn.
yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh,
So glad he was able to make it. Something that seems very trivial, but even him not being at the hotel on Friday nights leading meetings and all the stuff that they do that's very regimented when you're on the road is definitely different. So I was glad that the guys got a win. Hopefully they continue to build everything that you were saying about the A&M and Bama games. I completely agree with you, but to that point, I think you have to continue this momentum with the Vandy game. If it stalls here, you're not going to take much from the ULM game, and you're still going to be sitting there going, we just lost to Vandy. Like, it has to continue from here to keep that kind of juice flowing. So I'm excited. I hope they do it. We've shown, I think, one of the craziest stats that I have seen before this last weekend's game against Kentucky, obviously a win. Before that, one of the craziest stats that started going around Twitter was that 27 FBS offenses average at least 6.5 yards per play this season. 29 FBS defenses allow 5 yards per play or less this season. Each good. Only 7 FBS teams are doing both, aka efficient on both sides of the ball. Army, Indiana, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Penn State, Texas, Auburn. Good on both sides of the ball. And then the note, again, this was prior to week 9 results, people. Okay. One note. The other 6 teams, aside from Auburn, have a combined record of 36-4. Auburn is 2-5. Those do not make sense. Though the change of reality from those two things is so confusing, and it's a tale of we have the makings, we're not complete. Like it's just not fully there yet. But there's a lot of good to be taken, and I really hope that they continue and showcase that. But it's been a weird year, Jay. I mean, the only undefeated teams remaining in the FBS are teams that don't often get talked about during football season. I'm not going to lie. Not all of them, but Indiana is undefeated.
Yeah.
Indiana Hoosiers, the basketball school, they are undefeated, okay? Army, I covered them a couple weeks ago. They are legit, but they will also have to face Notre Dame, and Notre Dame beat the crap out of Navy this past weekend, so not entirely sure how they'll fare there. Miami feels like they're playing on borrowed freaking time. Someone has got to get one on them, but it has yet to happen. Pitt, I have covered them twice. They are also legit. That is one team that added a crap ton of transfers, and it does seem to be working. You don't see it often, but Pitt is putting something together. Oregon is legit. Dylan Gabriel is playing out of his mind. He is in the right system. He is with the right head coach. Oregon is a tough one right now. Penn State, and they face Ohio State this weekend. That'll be a big one. BYU, their first year in the Big 12, and they are sitting undefeated right now. And Iowa State, who lost in their bowl game to Memphis at the end of last season. What on God's green earth is happening this year?
College football, right? Transfer portals.
I love it.
Well,
I don't love the portal, but I love unpredictability.
Right. I would say this. My game upset watch this week, Georgia needs to be on alert. Florida played good against Tennessee in Knoxville. They played really good against Kentucky at home. They have confidence in his new quarterback, DJ Lagway, and it's going to be a cocktail party in Jacksonville. So
I didn't realize that.
I expect Georgia to win this game, but these are still 18 to 23-year-old kids. And, there have been some crazy games this year. And this is a game for, their head coach. He feels like, hey, to keep his job secure, he needs to have a big upset win. He needs to be one really good and everything. So to show that he feel like his team is trending in the right direction.
Right.
When I think about Indiana, great coaching.
Google me.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Hey, what you expect? Like the coach at Pittsburgh.
He knows what he's doing, man.
All time, right? Oklahoma is probably looking at both of those guys.
Skirt.
Yeah. So it's just that's the thing when you're not a powerhouse football program is people always come for your coach.
Yeah, that is so true.
Like Oklahoma, it will be hard to turn down, right? At some point,
Yeah.
if I'm coach at Indiana, coach at Pittsburgh, you really want to go to the SEC and face all this gauntlet of a schedule each year, and you can stay at Pitt and stay at Indiana and get paid very well and have a chance to win your conference.
Yeah.
Like
Every year, pretty much.
yeah. So you have to just add. That's a family decision, right?
That's true.
So
Okay, so you think Venables is out after this year?
I just think so.
Okay.
Because if they don't finish this season with any momentum, and I like him, I like him, but he again, kind of like Auburn in the situation is you don't have someone at the helm as your trigger man, to kind of galvanize the everybody. Arnold played a little better this week, but
Mhm.
Ole Miss was just a little bit too much for them at home. I just feel like it's just hard. Like
It is.
people get stalemate for a little bit, and they want to see something like they're used to Oklahoma winning and
Yeah.
not used to not winning like the way they haven't won in the last 2 years. This thing gonna get really fun here down the stretch because,
Mhm.
as I always say, the meat potatoes about to start separating.
Yeah.
So
Very appropriate for Thanksgiving month.
right over the next 2 weeks, we are about to find out who's dessert. Who's getting eaten up last. Who's gonna pay out. Who's just there for dessert. And
100%.
who's coming to the table for dressing and turkey and all that. Who are those teams? Who's ready
As
to eat?
Kirby Smart says, "We came to eat. We
Right,
came to
right.
eat."
Now I do think after that game against Texas, his team feels personal. They taking every game
Oh, yeah.
for the rest of the season. So
I wouldn't wanna play Georgia right now.
I think the SEC championship still goes through Georgia
I agree.
this year. I don't know, Taylor. You tell me. Like, who's your top 4 teams? Is Ohio State going to win the Big Ten? They struggled against Nebraska this past weekend. They get Penn
Yeah,
State. Penn State has struggled to beat Ohio State.
they have.
Ohio State Oregon rematch in the Big Ten game. So somebody's getting knocked out. So that's why I say somebody's getting knocked out somewhere. And
Yeah.
knocking each other out. Somebody's going to playoffs, somebody's not.
Well, and then we're gonna get into the conversation about, do all of the losers of conference championships end up in the top 12? Because, like, they're all so neck and neck right now. If the Big 12 ends, or I'm sorry, if let's say the ACC ends up being Pitt, Miami, both are undefeated going into the championship game. Miami wins. Pitt has one loss in the ACC championship game. I think they're still ranked in the top 12 and going to the playoff. I think that will be the case for the SEC too. I think whoever loses that game is still probably in. Like,
but we have to go back to what you said at the beginning of the year. You said at the beginning of the year, so each conference team goes to the playoffs.
Yep.
And then you get 5 and 6. Who's 5 and 6?
Correct. And are those going to be losers of a championship game?
Right. Because my thing is, how do you reward someone that's sitting at home that may be sitting at number 7, ranked number 7, but not even playing in a championship game?
Right.
So now do you take that team over a team that just played against someone in a championship game? So A&M is in it, for example. If A&M is in it and they're playing Georgia or whatever, or playing Texas or whatever, because they have to play each other back to back in order for that to happen. But
Right.
if A&M was in this thing and you're playing Georgia, you lose to Georgia and you hadn't lost to nobody else, for example. Say you beat Texas and everything, and you lose to Georgia. Do you take whoever's the number 17 over A&M? And they just lost to what's supposed to be the number 2
The
team,
best.
the best. So it's gonna get real
It's
interesting.
going to get really interesting.
Be upset. Someone's still gonna be mad because in the Big Ten, okay, if you Oregon, you beat everybody, you get to the Big Ten championship, you play Ohio State again. It's hard to beat a team twice.
Yeah.
State beats you. What does that do for Oregon?
You should still be in.
Exactly.
But then you've also got I can't. Y'all, it's going to get so twisted. But what happens in November, you remember, as Jason loves to say. So with that, we're going to go because my computer is on 4% and I don't want to lose this episode. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Oh, if you're in Auburn, the 04 team is going to be recognized this week. Well, freaking deserved. Wish I was going to be down there, Jay and all some of his teammates getting to reconnect. That will be awesome. Can't wait to hear about it. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. You'll get a notification every time we release an episode. So next week when we come on back and talk about all of that, you'll get notified. Find us on YouTube if you like to watch video. Give us a thumbs up, review, comment, all the things. We love you. War Eagle, goodbye.
Peace.